Hangzhou is my mother's hometown. My mother was born in Hangzhou, grew up there.
Oops, sorry.
And
I meant to share this to Facebook, and I realized, and then I forgot I was sharing the screen. 1 second, I'm just sharing it. See, this is like technology at its best, right? So let me see. Sorry, Ping.
It's okay. Just take a breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, take a breath.
There, I think it'll probably, hopefully this works. I meant to put a sticky, and so now you can see how it's working. There we go. So, oops, no, that's not what I wanted. Share screen. Where's the exhibition? There we go. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, sorry, Ping.
Yeah, so in Hangzhou is a very a city with a beautiful scenery. Also, is a city with great art. They have the academy, the China Academy of Art, nurture the many famous artists in Chinese history, like Zhao Wuqi, Lin Fengmian, Wu Guanzhong, and their work are auctioned in the Sotheby's. And so it's my mother's hometown. And then I shot in Taipei, Taiwan. I was born in Taipei, Taiwan. And I grew up there, educated, and got married in Taipei. So Taipei, Taiwan is my hometown. Now I moved here in year 2000 with my children. My children study here, so I came here, take care of them, and also I study art in City College. And Los Angeles is a city with many artists, gallery, a museum. So it also I nurtured by the art atmosphere in Los Angeles. So so in this project I shot these 3 locations that are important in my life.
So tell us about the process. I mean, these are all dark rooms. These are all like experiments created in the dark room. Tell us how that works.
This project I do negative prints and also positive prints. I use the yellow one is the negative prints. I use the negative prints to do another color with so it's paper. The negative prints is paper, and also the positive prints are paper. And so I use the yellow one, the paper negative, to do the pink one, the positive print. It's in dark room. Color dark room is totally dark, so it's a little difficult to do the large prints. Put the paper by paper stick together, then and the light from the enlarger, and to expose the positive one. So it's not like digital, so it needs experience. You need experience in the dark room.
Experiments and experience.
Experience and experimental, both. Yeah. Both. It's experimental because you don't know what you will have before the image print out from the RA4 process machine. So it's not like digital. Digital, you can see the result from the screen, the computer screen. But so it's so I say darkroom process is mysterious because it takes patience and patient to to know what you will have for the result.
Definitely. Karen, I saw you had a question.
Yeah, are these color, or is this black and white that's toned somehow? How are you getting this effect?
It's color. It's color. It's a color in the color dark room.
So do you get different colors by doing different exposures, or is it a different chemical balance? How do you?
Yes, yeah, I get the different color. I changed the color filter CMY in the color dark room. That the enlarger there's a cyan, yellow, and magenta. I just mix the three colors and to get what I want.
Cool.
To get the color what I want.
All right.
It's really fascinating to hear the whole process. And then how you juxtapose the images next to each other, the positive and the negative.
In the paper of the color photography paper, if you it has the sheet paper. The largest sheet paper is 24 by 20, but I do this project two sizes. One is 16 by 16. The other size is 32 by 32. So 32 by 32, there is no sheet paper there. So we use the roll paper. So it's a big roll, and about the roll about 10 pounds, because it's 32 in width and 164 feet for the length. So every time I need to cut the paper. It's 32 by 32, so I maybe need the paper 32 in width and about maybe 40 inches in the length. I need to cut it in the dark, in the totally dark room.
Oh, okay.
Because there, if it cannot be exposed, otherwise there is no light in the dark room. If it's the light only from the enlarger.
Yeah.
So I need to cut the paper in the dark, in the very dark, and so that means I need the experience to know the dark room and how you handle with the roll paper to cut what the length, what you want.
Now,
so it's a lot. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
But since I do it for some years, so for me it's okay.
It comes naturally.
Laura. Oh, I'm until she finished talking. Okay, my question to you, I'm sorry, Ping, is you always do a negative and a positive and reverse one of the images? I'm looking at it's the same picture, but it's reverse. So
yeah, it's reverse.
Yeah, but you do that for all of your work, always a positive and negative?
Not all my this project and another project. I did this positive, negative to positive from 2018. So, but before that, I just do just like a regular color print. But from 2018, actually it's experimental, because since I found the negative when I developed the negative, I found the negative color is different with the regular color negative. My negative because the regular color, I don't know. Do you know the anyone do the film color film? If you do color film, you will see when the negative developed, the color should be like a little brown color. So that's usually regular color negative developed come out. But this negative, when I develop it, so but it's not that color. So then when I do the contact sheet, it's all yellow. And since that, I think it looks different with the regular one. So then I found it and the all yellow one. And so when I point out, it's all yellow. Then I recall what I learned and what I see from the gallery. So then I found it's the paper negative. I can use it as the paper negative. To do then, so I use the paper negative to do the positive, to do the reverse, the positive. So so the yellow one is a negative. I used it as a negative then to do the positive.
It's interesting how the negative is first, you know, and and then the negative and the positive. I love the effect.
Yeah, it's different because if the negative is all yellow, it seems a little boring. Actually, if the prints are all yellow, like maybe you do 100 all yellow, it maybe seems a little not much change. So then I found it. So then I think I can make then I found it's one kind of a negative. So I can use this negative to do the positive, then to change the color. Yeah, and so yes. So I think it's very interesting because it's interesting for the traditional darkroom photography, because sometimes it happens. You know, there is something different with the traditional, and so you can do something more, something different with before, or someone didn't do that before. So I think that's the very interesting when I do the darkroom one. Actually it's mysterious because you before the negative print, before you develop the negative, you don't know what's happened on the negative. So I think that's very interesting.
Definitely. Wow, thank you, Ping.
Thank you for the chance to talk.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's always like every time you talk about your work, you know, I learned something new about the process.
oh, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah,
like
you're
that.
welcome. You're welcome. And you can read a little more about Ping on the website.
I think we need a field trip there.
I know.
Oh yes, please, please come in. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Debbie.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing? Where would you like me to start?
Kind of maybe talk generally about your process, what, you know, why you create what you create.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about, you know, if you back up and you think about why, you know, you're an artist or why anyone's an artist, I think, you know, from like an evolutionary standpoint, you know, being creative is an asset, right? So it helped us survive and figure out how not to get eaten and, you know, take shelter and all that stuff. And since now that's not much of a problem, generally speaking, you know, unless we're getting chased by a shark or something, you know, we can devote those energies into a different type of creativity. So that said, I've always liked to, you know, engage in artistic endeavors. I've always written and painted or did things like that. I've written poetry and short stories and wrote for TV a little bit, did some Chinese brush painting, and finally kind of landed in sculpture, which was able to satisfy a lot of areas that I like to do. The rhino that you're seeing pictured here now was inspired by an article that I was reading. There's always some animal that's on the verge of extinction, and unfortunately this one went extinct. This particular kind of rhino, the northern white rhino, went extinct before I even finished making it. It was like one male left, and it was in captivity, and I assume they tried to get as much, biological material from it as they could. Maybe they'll be able to clone it or mate it, with another and produce a hybrid or something. So that was the inspiration behind the subject matter. And this was initially sculpted in clay, and then a mold is made, and this is cast in resin, and then with a hand-painted patina. And I actually, when I was looking up about rhinos, they lay around in the mud a lot, and the mud helps protect them from insect bites, plus it helps cool them off. So I used a lot of sand in the paint when I was doing the patina on the lower portion of the body to kind of emulate that effect. And when I was creating it in clay, I didn't use, the technique that a lot of times used when people really smooth everything out. I just kind of cut and tore the clay and used it in slabs, and that's how it has the texture on that. I thought that made it contemporary looking. So. And then on the horse, I like to experiment with a lot of different types of materials. And initially I started sculpting, and that was strictly in clay. And then I ended up collecting a lot of wood and started doing, assemblage pieces with the wood. And the wood turned out to be just kind of like a gateway drug, and now basically nothing is safe from me. If it's colorful or interesting, something could happen to it. So I found some spools of this wire when I was running around looking for some supplies, and thought it would be fun to try to create, one of my sculptures from the wire, and this is what resulted.
And if people don't know, this is what, 6 feet tall?
This one is actually, it's about 4 feet wide. It might be like 5 feet tall, about 5 feet tall.
Pretty big. Yeah.
That's good size, yeah.
And then this piece.
And this piece, it's called Earl. I wanted to do something, again, I'd like to, mix a lot of times original sculpture with found objects, and do assemblage work on that, and then do the hand-painted patina. I like the result. It's just really fun to mix all that stuff up. So that's, I wanted to create something kind of otherworldly looking. Is what I was after. She looks like something you might find in the woods. She might be there.
A wood nymph or.
Yeah, not sure if she's nice or not, but she might be in there.
What are you working on now?
So I am designing a couple of armatures for future pieces, and I'm doing a lot of painting and patina work on pieces that I've had cast that I haven't completed yet. I could probably, be locked up for another couple months, and then I'd be completely caught up, but I'm still, catching up on stuff, so that's fine.
And then starting songwriting and,
Yes.
amongst many other things that you're starting.
Yes. I'm also doing songwriting, and I've created a YouTube channel for my music, PD Songwriting, and I'm working with a partner, Paula Sabrihi, and we're creating music. So that's been really fun too. I've been doing the writing of the lyrics and participating in the construction of the music also.
Very cool. Are there any questions for Debbie?
I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Because I love watching work. The rhino. In order to get those clay pieces, how did you smooth them out? I mean, I'm looking at it, and it's like everything looks so smoothly and evenly.
Well,
cut out.
If you've worked with clay before, there's something called a wire. You just can slice it almost like a cheese slicer. So you can slice the pieces, and then I just kind of pat them on. So that's how that was done. Some of the pieces are torn, and that's how the process is.
Oh, okay. Because it sort of like reminded me, I did a mask and I used newspaper, and that's what it was. I was coming to mind when I first saw it. I said, "Oh, is that paper?" So, but no,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's clay.
It's hard to tell after you paint them, depending on the patina, what they're made out of.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I love it. Gives that handmade quality,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the piece. Definitely.
Did you use photographs, or what was your reference?
I do
Oh,
use
yeah.
photographs. I get on Google like everybody and download a bunch of photographs. And actually, what else I use? I love to use, there's like these little plastic toys
Oh,
that
yeah.
are the shapes of animals. They're actually very well done and very well proportioned. And
Huh.
sometimes I'll use those to work on because I can hold it in my hand and spin it around and like really take a good look at it. And then, at some point I use a little artistic license. I don't remember offhand if the rhino that I was working on I think he had two horns, the northern white rhino, the one that inspired this whole thing. But I like the two horns, so this one has two.
I love when I've gone into her studio, she had a box of those toy horses, the plastic horses
That's
that
right.
I used to collect as kids.
Brian.
Yeah.
I have them dancing around my office. I'm near my desk too. I mean, you look like an adult. Just seat me at the children's table,
Okay, we need inspiration wherever it'll come from, right?
Debbie, your work is beautiful, and I'm looking at the rhino right now. I love the sense of weight and just immensity you were able to achieve with this piece.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested about the casting process. Is that a part of something you're doing? Are you actually casting these pieces yourself, or do you have?
No, I have someone do that for me. That's a whole other skill set. I have done it for smaller, simpler pieces, but on this, it would probably require 2 or 3 molds and separate castings and then assembling. And it's kind of workmanlike.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's not really fun. I don't want to do it. Smells like work.
And your patinas are fantastic. I love the idea that you're adding sand and other elements to it, but really beautiful.
I like that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Debbie. And then we have Eric. I think he's unmuting himself.
Mute.
There we go.
I was respectfully keeping my mute on. Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
So tell us about yourself and what you do. And of course, we're showing brand new work that's a little different than what we've shared before. So tell us about this also.
Well, I got interested in printing, and so these candidly were exercises as part of my my printing class. I was practicing learning planographic style of printing, and these are monotype prints where you only make one image of it. You can take from the one print you make, you make what's called a ghost, and you can use the ghost as well. So I was using the ghosts for this series. And there's nothing too cerebral and thoughtful about these, except that sometimes when I make work, I sit back and I think about it. In hindsight, what did I just make, and what is this piece about? And it's kind of like a Rorschach test for myself. And so I thought, well, I guess this symbolizes kind of my sense of trying to get into the fine arts community. Like at this point, I'm just like a silhouette or a shadow, kind of like flickering on the wall of a cave in Plato's allegory of the cave. And so I don't feel like I've arrived yet. I'm struggling to get my credibility and my feet in this new community because I've just started being an artist seriously and full time for 3 years ago. So I've got a long ways to go, and so this is kind of, I feel like I'm appearing in this world, but I'm not quite there yet. So
I love that analogy. And looking at these, you get a real sense of your abstract work. I mean, you can tell they're by the same hand. You know, there's something there as far as composition goes, as far as the layering.
Okay. Yeah, I was bringing some of the components that I use in my abstract painting into these pieces. I don't have a long elevator speech for these pieces.
Okay. But
That's the extent of it.
Tell everybody about your current show, Pairings.
Sure. I'm also participating in Maiden L.A. My primary interest as an artist is painting. So I'm doing a collaborative show with another artist. Her name is Beth Bowen. And so we're hosting our own collaborative show, and I have a gallery that I built as part of my studio, and so we're using that physical space for the show, and people can come by invitation to see the work in person, but the way that we're getting out to access our audience is through live events, and we have one each week, and we did a kind of a creative approach to getting people interested to use pairing wines with our pieces. And we actually have, as part of a live event, which we do as a Zoom webinar, a wine specialist who has paired each one of the paintings that we're showing during that live with a particular wine. And you can order the wines ahead of time online and actually be drinking the same wines that the wine connoisseur is presenting and talking about. And then each artist has an opportunity to talk about their work as well too. So we've done two, one each past 2 Wednesdays, and then next week Wednesday will be the third one, where we are going to boldly use 3 platforms. We start off about 20 minutes on Instagram live, then ask people to come and join the webinar. And then after the webinar, you can sign up again as a Zoom meeting, and then you can live interact with the artists as well. So it's definitely a bold venture in terms of technology.
You know, I think everybody's just trying things out right now to see what works, and
yeah,
for sure. I shared the Facebook event in chat, so it's this Wednesday, the 16th. So if you want to take that down. But wonderful. Thank you so much, Eric.
You're welcome.
All righty, and then we have Joanne.
Yes. Hi. Should I begin?
Yeah. So tell us about your practice, and then talk about this work and what you're doing during the pandemic.
Okay. Well, I relate to Eric. I started my fine art, visual art career later on. Before that, I was a graphic artist in LA. And for me, I think I've, prior to actually starting to make, go in the visual art field, throughout my life, I've always kind of felt like I didn't quite fit into the mainstream, and it was, kind of a search, let's say. So how this fits into what you're seeing on the screen is that I am very interested in identity, specifically gender identity. In these pieces, they're kind of autobiographical, and they have to do with body dysphoria. So one of the ways I didn't feel like I really fit in is because I realized I was gay, and that did not work at that time. It was problematic. So I've, and that's
most of my work now centers around identity, particularly queer identity. And underneath all that has to do with issues of social justice, because it fits in with being kind of marginalized in society. And I definitely identify with that group. I don't feel that being queer is my main piece of identity in life, but it really did affect me because of the fact that, you know, it wasn't widely accepted. So anyway, on a theoretical note, I think we all share this idea that because we're always changing, that our own identity is very unintelligible. You know, to really say who we are or to understand it is kind of an enigma. Let's see, I don't know what else I want to say about my work, but.
Well, do you want to talk about each piece, kind of how they're made and?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one on the screen, this has to do with whenever, like not whenever, but many times when I've gone into a public restroom, I trip out on the bathroom floor, especially if it's tiled floor, and especially if it's like old fashioned, you know, and it's just like almost mesmerizing. So was the inception here. This piece also, in the very, very back, there is a toilet, and this came up when there was that whole furor over the bathroom and transgender people using which bathroom they would be using. So, and also the little figures kind of relate back to a Dick and Jane reader. And this is, this relates to my body dysphoria. I did not want to be a girl when I grew up. So there you go. I don't want to get into it any further, but I think a picture tells 1,000 words.
Definitely.
Next. Okay, so then getting further, going into maybe the early teenage years, this is, grew up like in the 50s, late 50s, and there was that whole kind of James Dean, you know, really cool gang kind of sensibility, bad boy. And so I am part of that. I'm with this guy here, you know, me and him are our own gang. And then on the bottom, we're gonna rumble, and I don't know, it's just a whole fantasy. This is collage, and I did it, it's part of a series I did, kind of an autobiographical series where I went through different stages of my life, and this was kind of in the middle stage.
I just love the way you use storytelling in your work. You know, the way each image is specific to part of the story, and you know, there's a whole narrative that runs through, you know, the image.
Thanks. And can I just, so that on the billboard, that's Marilyn Monroe.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And this was a part of an installation I did that covered, in my studio, it covered 3 walls of my studio, top, floor to ceiling. And then when I actually installed it in a gallery, it was just this huge wall.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and they were all Xerox pieces. Everything was made out of a Xerox. And what it was is that when this whole thing about transgender people came in, and it was very, it just brought up a lot of questions for me, and wondering, it wasn't anything definitive because it wasn't like any kind of judgment. It was just like, who am I? How do I fit into this? Do I think it's good? How do I feel about it? You know, so the walls were filled with all these questions and feelings. And this was just one little snapshot of that. And what you see is on the left, that is a transgender person who was actually a big personality on social media. Formerly she, was like super hot, as you can sort of see, you know, really built and all that. And then the person next to him is Leah Deloria, who was on that show, Orange is the New Black.
Oh, okay.
And she is a queer comedian, and she really identifies as butch. You know, I think she even has the word dyke tattooed on her arm. And there I am with a crocheted dildo.
It's a powerful statement.
What can I say?
And then just the text, measure up. Wow.
Yeah.
And
So that's it.
to see this life size, you know, throughout. Do you have installation shots of it?
I may, yes.
Okay, you'll have to send them to us.
Yeah.
That would be great. Are there any questions for Joanne?
John, I'm curious about the bathroom piece in terms of, is that painted? Is it collage? It's really intricate. I'm assuming it's some collage with painting. I'm curious how you got the texturing.
That's those are linoleum tiles.
Oh, totally cool.
Yeah. And then I cut out the little figures and I painted them. They're wood. The figures are wood.
Oh, okay. That's why they look like they're sticking off of, they're coming out from the piece.
They are stuck on.
How big is this piece?
It's about 3.5 feet high.
Okay.
Yeah.
It does a lot for just like a minimal piece.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
What year did you do it in?
That one was 2017.
So not too long ago.
Yeah.
Sadly, we're still dealing with it, with the same issues.
Yeah. I remember when I was in DC, they had just started changing the bathrooms to unisex.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in a restaurant and there was one bathroom that said women and then another one unisex, and I saw this man walk up to it and he didn't know what to do. It was like trying to figure it.
I'm reading a book called Creative Trespassing, and it's by Tanya Katon, who she's the one who came up with the bathroom symbol that says like that made the women's dress into a cape.
Yes.
Yeah. It's really fascinating. It's a good book. I'll share it with you guys later. It's yeah. Great. Thank you so much, Joanne.
Sure.
Justin.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
So my name is Justin Prough, and I'm actually, I'm believe it or not, 5th generation Californian, and my family has lived in California a long time, and we've always been very fascinated and a lot of time spent at the beach. And a lot of my work is kind of meaningful to me in terms of kind of like bringing awareness to different issues that I think are important, especially what's going on right now in our times. And these pieces specifically are a reaction to a smaller aspect of climate change that I don't think we're all very aware of, but it's interesting because the amounts of carbon dioxide we as humans are putting into the atmosphere. Believe it or not, the ocean absorbs a huge amount of that, which is a good thing. But the bad thing about that is it actually changes the pH level of the ocean, makes it more acidic. And creatures that rely on a shell to live, the shells actually can't form anymore. So, I mean, it's about a year or so ago, I read this article and it was really bummed me out because as a kid and also with my own children, like being at the ocean surfing and then walking along the shore and finding these artifacts of creatures that live in our ocean through their shells or the barnacles or whatnot has been something we've always collected and brought home. And, you know, they're basically the remnants of a living creature. And the more I thought about it, I was like, you know, it's like my children's children or my children might not be able to see or find these things anymore if we continue on the same path we're going right now. And I started thinking, like, well, shoot, like between driftwood and seashells and things I'm finding, can I make artifacts that are hopeful for a future where we still have these, but at the same time kind of make time capsules of what you could find? So these pieces they're all called Landscape Found. This is the series I'm working on right now, or have been working on. And what they are is these are pieces of driftwood shells. In this case, this one specifically, I actually did some digital photography and painting to kind of add to it. But it's really to bring awareness of some of the things we might lose if we're not careful. But at the same time, I'm really hopeful. I'm hopeful that, you know, we as a species are very creative. And I like this idea of thinking to a future where we as humans start to live more symbiotic in conjunction or tangent with nature and start utilizing it. So a lot of these pieces are like these, you know, really interesting elements where I think like, okay, well, is it like, I don't know if you guys remember that 70s, 80s cartoon, what is it called? Oh, shoot. Like there's anime where there's like creatures that have been utilized and made half machine, half robot, half animal. So like as a species, do we start to work with the elements and other living creatures to, you know, instead of manufacturing, but to maybe live more, coexist with these elements. So a lot of these pieces, if you go to one of the other ones, Christina, this idea of like, you know, do we harness like creatures and we start working with them, in this case, making robots and monsters. But it's funny because, you know, COVID struck kind of during this series, and the first piece, which is more of like a house element, it seemed a little, I started noticing this piece, the next one, if you go to the first one. This one, it's more like an Ewok village treehouse thing. It's a little bit more hopeful. And the tops are the shells we found in Tahiti, along with some other shells that we found in Nicaragua and then along the California coast. And I've actually mapped down the dates and locations, geographical coordinates for all these things. And what I learned is if you have the element, you know when you found it, you know where you found it, it actually can be used scientifically in the future as where that thing came from. So each of these pieces have their own history in terms of where the elements came from. But this was a little bit more helpful, like, you know, us usually—
Hey, let's come fast.
What?
They're muted.
Oh. To kind of like, you know, this maybe is in the future something we live in. But right now it's like, it's also an artifact of potentially stuff that's not around anymore. And then if you go to the next one, Christina. This
Christine, I fell off of Zoom. Can you get me back in?
Oh, we see you, Pam.
I can see you in a tiny thumbnail, but I can't see the shared screen.
Oh, click on the thumbnail. I think it switches back. Does that make sense? Or
I can't see the pieces that Justin is showing.
So go up into the menu. Are you on a computer?
Yeah.
And click Window. And make sure you click down at the bottom, you're on the Zoom meeting. No?
I'm on an iMac. I don't know what you mean about window. Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt.
A menu that's called Window. Does meeting view, edit window help?
Oh, yeah. Launch meeting Zoom.
You click that.
No, you want to make sure that the window you're in.
Oh
is the
yeah,
main.
that may not be it. Is there another option for Zoom?
You can always leave and come back in.
I'm afraid
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to do that.
okay,
And then let me back in, please. I'd
okay,
like to
of
hear
course.
that. How do I leave it? That way you can leave.
Bottom right, put your cursor down there. There should be a red button. Or actually, I can help you do that.
Yeah, let me just go off and come back on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that, Justin.
No, that's right. But this piece specifically kind of was in reaction to what's going on with our current pandemic, as well as kind of the change in sea level rise and everything else. So it's a photograph of the Santa Monica Pier sign, but I altered the text to read Bay Mausoleum Historic Fishing, Boating, and Cafes. And I really started to geek out on this idea that the difference between a mausoleum and a museum is kind of nuanced, really. It's a very kind of interesting play, but really speaking to the idea that, you know, with this virus kind of moving through our world, that a lot of what we know from an environmental standpoint, as well as a, you know, pandemic, which is also very environmental, is going to change. And like what we knew before is going to be different. But I'm hopeful it's going to be a good different. And I think as humans, we're still figuring out if it's how good it's going to be or how bad it's going to be. So a lot of these pieces are about that. And then within them, there's little California signs, and there's a little scale of feet on different pieces to speak about sea level rise and whatnot. So each piece is kind of, as you walk around it, there's little Easter eggs you can find that all speak to, you know, what's going on right now, and that, you know, if we pull together, we can get through it. So that's kind of what I've been up to right now.
And how big are these pieces, Justin?
The one you're looking at there is about 3 feet by 2 feet.
Yeah,
so,
they're pretty big.
Yeah, they're pretty big. And actually, you can see one of them behind me here. So if I back up, this is another one. It's not here, but it's about 3 feet by 2 feet. Some of them are a little alien, a little Ewok villagey, and I think that's kind of like a mashup between just imagining what a future could be with artifacts that have been on this planet and animals that, and their artifacts for, you know, millions of years.
Definitely. Great. Are there any questions for Justin? I can't wait to see these as an installation. You know, walking through them and around them. And how many have you created so far?
So I have 5 right now. Actually, I can share a link.
I know you have one of them at Tag Gallery. It's right in the middle in the front window.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, actually, that's true. The first one, the Ewok Village one, the kind of like the more hopeful kind of village, is at Tag right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
I was wondering, like, what kind of work, is this a real departure, or is this the way in which you've been working? Is this typical of assemblage, or?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good question. I tend to be, so my background creatively has been in advertising. In advertising, one of the things that is really helpful is to be, I call a creative chameleon, where you're able to really think about the message or the story you're trying to tell, and then utilize different elements to still tell that story. So I am really drawn to building things, but I also really enjoy like doing photography and digital painting. So one of the pieces here is kind of a mashup of those two worlds. Some of my I'm also in the midst of kind of working on a few more pieces for another series that I call The Whitewashing of America, which is very much political and kind of leading up to this election we're coming to. But those are also hand painting, assemblage of found object toys and whatnot. So okay. I kind of fancy myself a builder, but more or less a scavenger of ideas and moments. And then how do I harness things I find to make them. And it's weird. Sometimes it's an idea that drives it. Sometimes it's a material. So these specifically, I think the real driving factor was, you know, walking along the beach and being really bummed that these little elements I'm finding of these animals, these skeletons and whatnot, might not be around in the future. And then starting to think about, like, well, how do I bring more awareness to this issue? And was the genesis of these.
Okay.
Justin, what the sort of structures, what are they built of? They look like, I don't know, are they straws, or is this also found objects, or they're so even and regular?
Yeah, believe it or not, like I'm in this series, I'm really geeking out about finding driftwood and using it in its natural state. But what I am doing is I'm lacquering it and kind of bringing out more of the wood grain. And what's cool about doing that is it takes driftwood and makes it a little stronger, but also it pulls out more of the wood grain. So what you're seeing there, all these kind of organic elements, that's basically all driftwood I found. And then the structures or the heads of these squids and or little ships are also driftwood that I've cut and sanded and then stained in different colors to kind of meet what I'm doing. So I'm doing a combination of like utilizing, like this one, for instance, that base, the green part is a natural shell. The top of the control unit or the head that's blue, those are little elements I built a structure, and then the top is a shell. The respirators on either side are actually sea urchin shells. A little bit of sea glass in there for windows. But it's a combination of just trying to like, and what I'll do is I'll sketch down little creatures, and then as I'm looking at the different pieces of wood and elements I've found, they start to kind of assemble themselves in a weird way. Putting them together is a combination of like epoxies and screws that I try to hide. So when you look at them, you're kind of just trying to figure out how I've created it. But this one specifically, if you look down towards the bottom, and the bottom is actually a natural rock that I've cut in half. There's a little California 101 sign, California 1 sign, that's been knocked down by this creature crawling up on, or this machine crawling up on a ledge. Kind of speaking to the idea that, you know, we're still going to be California, but we're going through some stuff and we're going to have to change. I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, I had a question on the piece, the Santa Monica Pier sign.
Yes.
What is that, a piece of paper, or how did you get that? I mean, but how did you do that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So that's actually a few different pieces of wood, actually veneer, that really? I've treated, and then, you know, I digitally print on them after I digitally paint it, and then I cut the pieces, and then the whole thing's encapsulated in resin to make it look like the whole thing's underwater. And then also it's light fastening, so it'll last for like 200 years. So it's kind of a layering process. And I really wanted to get the idea that it looked underwater, that the sign stood out from the background element, and it's all kind of buried in this like liquidy looking substance.
Nice, thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much, Justin. And something I forgot to mention, Joanne has a solo show with us that opens on Saturday, September 26th. And that's her Queer Before Queer series. And then Justin has a solo show of his whitewashing work that opens on October 10th. And yeah, and so we'll have and we're with Justin. I don't know if I told you, Justin. Karen Goitfround, who did the book Art About Trump that Linda's in. Yeah. She's going to be talking with you. Like, she'll be like, you know, in conversation. So she'll be there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
But the book is fantastic. We've been going back and forth, and, you know, through social media, I've been taking a look at what she's doing. It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. All right, Karen.
Hello. So these are my most current work is created in the last couple of months. The whole project here started as part of a collaboration project that I can't specifically talk about because they've asked me not to, but one of the pieces, the first one I created for here was the piece that I created for this project, which will be, I don't know when it will be let out to the world, and then I can talk about it. But I was trying to create a message of hopefulness and power using photographs of real kind of spectacular sky events that I had taken during assorted travels back in the day when one could travel, and accompanied those with images, again, also from travels and tours of botanic gardens and my own gardens, flowers, which have been sort of an obsession of mine throughout my life, sort of homage to my mother and grandmother who were avid gardeners, and there were always flowers in our lives, and they were always pretty unusual flowers. So I don't know, I work and play with the different images, just trying to create, I don't know, sort of sacred meditative spaces, places that have different energies and different focus and balance compositionally, color-wise. I just like things that are really beautiful.
Does anybody have any questions for Karen?
Process-wise, these are my photographs, and I have a specialized piece of software that does these weird reflections for me, kind of funhouse mirror type things, and they're all math-based, algorithm-based, and I just create lots of different layers and turn them into, I guess, sort of digital collages, where, and just hope I've, they are currently printed. These are just the digital files, but they are printed and laminated behind a 1/4 inch of acrylic. This one is one of the kind of smaller ones, and it is about, I think this one's like 33 inches by 40 inches. And then, I don't know, we have other ones here. I can give measurements there also. This one is 40 by 60. And then I think the other one is, yeah, 50 by 40.
Yeah, and you shared a photo of it printed, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, they have a nice I hope they can be lit well, because the acrylic has a tendency to, you know, it's glossy, it's shiny, it's real beautiful. So we'll work on the lighting there. but these pieces will be part of my solo show at Tag Gallery, opening on Election Day.
Yay!
So,
Monday, the 3rd.
some just sort of relief from the tension.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Karen.
Welcome.
Karen, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them in real life.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
I can't wait to see them on a wall. They're like in my basement, very poorly lit. I haven't fully unwrapped them. I've just opened them up to make sure that, you know, all the edges are good. And then, oh God, and they're so heavy. But I'm really excited. And then right now I'm also working on some smaller pieces that will accompany the show. And there I'm doing, at the moment, it looks like I'm doing printing on a washi paper, and then doing sort of an orb type piece in the middle that's printed and maybe laser cut in some way, and then with resin on them, so they like glow, and they sort of trying to get them to kind of sort of spherical, but I'm not having a good look. I'm not having a lot of luck with that. So they'll be glossy. They'll be thick and glossy.
Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to let Pam back in.
Oh, shoot.
Since I like removed her because she couldn't, now it's not letting her back in.
Oh no.
So wait, let me see. Account billing. Wait, recording.
Wow, this is the back end of the paid Zoom, huh?
Exactly. But it's not giving. Oh wait, maybe. Oh wait, here we go. Maybe this is it. Wait, in meeting basic. Is that what it is? Should be allow. Oh wait. Oh. Who can share? There should be an allow or remove. Oh wait. Yes. There we go.
Yay.
Yay. Okay, let me text. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's see. Okay, fingers crossed. All right, and we have Linda. Oh, you're muted, Linda. There we go.
Okay, hi. I started working in neon in 2005, and the first piece I did, it was part of a class that I took at the Museum of Neon Art, and I designed it and somebody else built it. And then I did a second piece that was more of a sign. And then I came up with an interesting design for my third piece, where I took a pipe cleaner and I wrapped it around a pencil and I popped it. And then I kind of created like this little mini replica of what I wanted to do. And I took it to the sign bender, and he just looked at me and said, I only bend to patterns. And if you want to do something like that, you need to learn how to bend. So I started going there once a week and playing in the fires. And typically people, after you get burned about 3 times and cut about 4 times, people just give up because it's not easy. But I kept on, and then finally after about 3 months, he asked me what my intention was. And I said, well, I want to learn how to bend. So then he put me on a more formal process of learning how to bend to pattern, because it teaches you control of the glass. And what was interesting to me, because he does a lot of signage, if you take a sign and when you look at it in a store stuff, it has that flat side that you're looking at. But if you were to flip it over and to see all the bends behind it, that's what I thought was really interesting. And so I wanted to bend neon in ways, the tubes, to show what you could do with the tube other than making something that had a flat surface. And so that's what got me started. And then I started playing with the cast light, putting things behind, like in this piece here, I've got acrylic rods behind it, catching the cast light. Sometimes I'll put the acrylic on top of the tubes. I've used different kinds of reflective backgrounds and played with reflective mirrors. And this series is called Plan B because most of the work in each of the pieces is recycled from previous work that I did. And I was inspired to do this series from an essay that was written about how to survive the death of the world. And the author was recommending that you practice random acts of kindness and create things of beauty. And so that's what led me down this path. Currently, I'm working on combining motion graphics, which is, I created motion graphics for about 20 years, which is TV titles and backgrounds. And I'm doing a little small animation that will have beading, and then I'll have tubes that will have beading. And neon and krypton gas bead naturally, but if you put them on a specialty transformer, if you go to right there, you can see at the bottom there, you can see the beading.
Mm-hmm.
If you put them on a specialty transformer, it stabilizes beading and you can control it a little bit. But I'm looking forward to combining those two elements.
Yeah, I love this image, or this, like, is this a GIF?
No, I think it's a slideshow.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So I took a bunch of pictures and then combined it.
Which is great.
The challenge when you're photographing neon is the light levels are different, so it's hard to get everything so that you can take just a single picture. So by taking slides, I can go into Photoshop and make some color corrections, and then I can put it together and it looks like a little mini movie.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Are there any questions for Linda?
So this is the white gas beading.
Sorry, 1 second.
It's okay.
Still having trouble getting Pam in. I wonder if I forgot to hit save, which is possible. Account management, and then what did I go into? Account settings, meeting, and meeting. I don't know if I had to hit save or not. No, it should be. Nope.
I was lucky enough the other day to be able to speak with Linda about her process and the tools she uses to do the neon bending. And not only is it fascinating, it's unbelievably complicated. And to do some of these bends, talking to her, the skill and expertise to do that is mind-blowing. So it was really, really fascinating. If you ever get a chance to speak more with her about the process and seeing some of the tools and how kind of like crazy it is with like live fire and doing it, it's fascinating. It's worth the conversation for sure.
Thank you.
Linda, I have a question. You have it in a frame. Is that a box frame? I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah,
I know
what I do, it's a 4-inch thick box that has an open back. And so what I do is, unlike most people who work with neon, most people show the tube supports and other connective things that you're wiring and stuff. I hide everything inside of a box. And this piece, the green actually extends outside of the box. So I had to put a gray background so I could show the green.
Thank you.
And it sticks out projects out. They're 3-dimensional. So this is probably about, 4 inches out from the surface. Right. So the big green tube is flat and then everything else projects out. You can see the green tube going underneath the white tube on the left.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
But this is one of those pictures that, like I was talking, it was very difficult to photograph because the red and the white tubes are very pale and the green's really dominant. So I have to expose for those tubes and then go in and backfill because the green tube I have to fill it with the green.
Right.
And purple, I use purple sometimes, and purple doesn't photograph correctly. So I often have to go in and do color correction on the purple.
Gotcha.
It's fun.
Thank you. Looks like it.
Not.
It burns and learning.
But I went to a photography store in Torrance, I think it is, Redondo Beach. And I took a piece of art, I took my computer, and I brought my camera, and I said, I'm trying to take photographs of neon, and it's difficult, it's painful. And it just so happened that the owner of the store had a piece of neon inside the store with a painting underneath it, and he knew exactly what the problem was. And so I bought a light kit, and he showed me how to, you know, position the lights, and it really, really made things so much better.
Nice.
Yeah, you've really mastered, you know, taking the photos. Of course, I know, like you said, there's a lot of work behind the scenes, but as far as color correction.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I mean, it used to be, well, my first step forward was I discovered I could tether my camera to my computer. So then I could see it I could see a really big image. So instead of just trying to see it through the little tiny screen on your camera, and then I have a Canon, which allows me to do what they have, a live thing. So I can set everything up and I can see exactly what I'm going to photograph. So I can make all the adjustments and get the thing set up before I even take the picture. So instead of used to, I would take 40 pictures and hate all of them. Now I can take one picture and I'm done.
Which is great. Awesome. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Linda. And Palmer.
Sorry. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, nice.
So tell us about your work in the series.
Okay, well, I usually paint in acrylic and sometimes collage. And I'm really curious about ancient cultures and how they shaped the way that women are treated today. And I do a lot of research into ancient mythology and religions and various texts and events. And I take things that I've read or, you know, been thinking about, and I make paintings and collages about them. So, should I go through?
Yeah, this one's Pandora.
Okay, this one's Pandora, and it's made with collage pages from Hesiod's Works and Days and Theogony, where the story of Pandora is told. And there's a lot of jewelry and, you know, ornate details in her, because that's the goddesses and gods up in Mount Olympus give her various gifts before they send her down to earth as the first woman. And so I tried to, you know, imagine what it was she was wearing. And then you can't see her face because she has a veil also. And in the shadow, you can see that there's sort of smoke coming out of her jar that you know, foretelling the evil that she unleashes on the world. And you don't really see the man that she's sent down to marry, because he's just not very important, and his looks aren't really described, because only to the ancient world, the Hesiod only thought that the looks of the women were important, and not so much the man's looks. And no, that's okay. That's Eve's Moment. That one is made of pages from the Old Testament, and it's all, each little thing is cut out and pasted on. There's birds in the trees and stuff, and it's sort of loosely based on Albert Durer's Adam and Eve etchings with the representing the humors, the animals. But in this, I sort of changed it so Adam. Okay, this is a lot. Okay, well, Eve is basically a representation of the goddess in this picture, because the goddess religion was completely torn apart when the Old Testament came into view, and also just when people who believed in Yahweh, which was one single male god, and it was suddenly not allowed to worship any other gods or goddesses at all. It was just either you choose Yahweh or you destroy every other religion possible. And so the goddess religion, which was very popular in Mesopotamia, and the oldest religion around that time, they picked apart the goddess religion. The snake was very important in the goddess religion, and snakes were thought to be the prophet of the goddess. And figs And they think that figs were probably like a communion with the goddess. The figs were like the body of the goddess. So in the Old Testament, when they talk about, enmity between snakes and women, they're tearing apart basic important things in the goddess religion. And they don't even mention the word goddess religion one time. And basically in this, I'm turning the story around to where Eve is basically the goddess, and she is the source of life. And that's why everything's coming out from her colored. And basically she's just sort of using Adam as a ladder. Because to me, I don't know, Adam's pretty weak in that story. He's been told not to do something and he does it anyway, just because Eve asked him to. And it's just, this is sort of the way that I see that story should have been going, I guess.
And then the other piece that we have.
Yes, this is also made with pages from the Old Testament. And it's basically, well, it's another sort of an image of a goddess. And she's always with the bull and the lion. Those are her main symbols. And she is, don't talk, go. Sorry, my son. She is breaking through the Old Testament, and years have been basically putting up a wall that just hid all traces of the goddess religion, mostly because they had to destroy every trace of it. And there are still some traces, but, and just the world, like, I feel like since the goddess religion was ruined, like if it had been allowed to continue and if it was still a major religion in the world today, I feel like we would be much better off as women now. And in this, it's just sort of like what would happen if all of the misogynistic things in the Old Testament were just burned away, and then the goddess is retaking her place and female power coming back into, where it should be in the world. It's about that.
Awesome. And if you haven't watched, we did a Shoebox conversation with Palmer where it was kind of a timeline of her work, and she talked even more in depth about, where these ideas came from and all of the research that she does, all the reading and the studying and the note taking and, within the work. So definitely check that out on our website.
What? Did you scan it?
Do you guys, are there any questions for Palmer?
I have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Palmer.
Yeah.
I'm actually working on a piece right now. It's a woman with a snake.
Oh, cool.
Kind of showing a life force, but when you mentioned that the snake was a source of, how did you put it?
It was considered like the prophets of the goddess. Like supposedly the goddess could speak through the snakes. And also they think that possibly there was hallucinogenic properties in the venom. And so they may have used that in, tools. But
I was just thinking of it in terms of, because I traveled to India, and I know that there's a whole temple there with just snakes and literally and the power. So I didn't realize that it even went back as far as you're talking about.
Yeah, they think that there were snake pits, if you will, in the temples of the goddess, an area where they would all be, and they were very important. And women used to wear snake skin girdles when they gave birth too, because it would protect women. And they would represent women because they shed their skin like, menses.
Whoa.
Yeah, renewal. They weren't necessarily a phallic thing. It was more of a woman thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to watch your video and get more information.
Okay.
Cool.
Good luck.
Thanks.
It's interesting. There's quite a few artists lately that are working in themes of mythology. Of course, Betty Brown wrote the article focused on, animals and the figure in mythology. But even more so, it's, I don't know if there's just something because of what's going on in society or, it's really interesting to see.
Well, when that Me Too stuff started happening, I just like couldn't help wonder if we had always been this in this position. You know, if there was ever a time and a place where women were on equal footing with men, and I just started doing a lot of research. And,
Yeah, definitely. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Palmer.
Well, thanks for talking to me. Sorry about my son.
Oh, that's okay. You know, it's Zoom. We're informal. Anything can happen.
He's not supposed to be in here, but
Those darn kids.
Yeah.
Pam didn't make it back, but I'll go ahead and just I'll read what she had written about the work, and you know, that way she's here. It still wouldn't let her in, unfortunately. So these are from Pam's recent Sanctuary Part 2 series. And she talks about the 3 rafts shown are elements of Part 2 of a multi-year sanctuary project by Pam. They will be exhibited at Tag Gallery from October 6th to the 31st. And in the dramatic installation, these are just separate rafts that we're looking at, but it's going to be a big installation. The refugee rafts escape across the gallery floor from a 36-foot abstract mural of a devastated land. She began Sanctuary last year as a visceral response to refugees seeking asylum on our border and around the world. And in 2020, the series grew into a metaphor for all of us adrift in the winds of change. So it's I know like her feelings about Sanctuary have definitely broadened, you know, in the last few months with everything going on. But she, you know, I think the series has become even more important, you know, all around, and to her, you know, just with everything going on. But these are the rafts from Sanctuary 2, which will be on view. She's installing on October 5th at Tag Gallery. And then Sanctuary 1 is also going to be on view at Los Angeles Art Association in a solo show starting October 31st to December 4th. So, and it'll all be by appointment. So you'll be able to go into the gallery and actually see the work. But they're very profound and powerful images of mothers and children, grandparents, you know, all, I mean, you know, kind of just these emotional expressionistic images that we've seen in the news, you know, of, you know, the refugees right now. And in fact, I haven't talked to Pam about this, but you know, like, I don't know if you guys saw the news with Banksy. He bought that boat to bring the refugees over across the water. And so I completely forgot. I need to talk to her about that. But I mean, it's still, you know, people are still fleeing and trying, you know, to get away. And I know when she was working on Sanctuary 1 is when the caravan was coming up, you know, from South America and Mexico, or Central America into Mexico. And so it's still, Sanctuary 3 is going to be shelters. So, and in January, she's showing all 3 parts in all of Tag Gallery. So she'll have the whole gallery to show the installation of all of the work, which is, you know, going to be even more powerful. But I'll share here's the Facebook event where we're doing an artist talk with Pam on October 7th. So I will share that in chat. Oops, just so you guys have that. And let's see, there we go. And no, it would be great to hear, you know, it'll be great to talk to Pam more, you know, about all the work. She's been working on this for so long, and it's just a passion project for her. And in Sanctuary 1, for her solo show at Tag, she actually contacted UNICEF and worked with them and donated part of the proceeds from her catalog to UNICEF. So she's, you know, getting involved with the humanitarian response also, which makes it even more powerful. So if you guys have any questions, like I said, sadly she couldn't come back in, but you know, check out her website's in that Facebook event in chat. So if you want to go to her website and hear more, and yeah, and learn more about her project.
So powerful.
They really are.
It's so interesting, the 2D meets 3D dimensional aspect of what she's doing, how flawlessly she marries it to is really fascinating.
Yeah. You know, and this started, there was somebody had posted on Facebook that they were giving away coffee bean bags, like tons of just these like sacks of coffee bean bags. And she took them. And that's where the material, that's where these started. She just started using the material in the work. And then she also, you know, started using raw canvas and then it went to like, and you can see the bean bags here where she actually incorporates the text. But then, you know, she started using other materials that, you know, fit in, you know, burlap and wood that she would find around. And so just to see that, you know, that one thing that she got for free, you know, just from Facebook, and it exploded into this, you know, multi-year project is really something. All right. Susan wasn't able to make it today. Her work is, you know, also, you know, most of you, your work is, you know, there's a political underpinning, there's, you know, there's an issue behind it like climate change or, you know, identity. Susan's work has been political. She's used faucets in her work as, you know, a metaphor, and she's brought that into these collages that she's created. I think this piece is either 4 by 4 inches or 6 by 6. And she also brings in baggage. She did a whole series. She has a whole show called, or focused on baggage as a metaphor also for the baggage that we carry around in our lives. And so she's brought, you know, each of these elements into the different, you know, types of work that she does. And you can see, you know, focusing on homelessness. And this is powerful, you know, especially when you see it in person. And just imagine, you know, we see like the tents around town, but, you know, imagining it all together. It's like yesterday when, I don't know if you guys saw the flags at Pepperdine. Every year Pepperdine puts up like 2,996 flags for 9/11, for everybody who died in 9/11. And a few of my friends had posted pictures of the flags, and to see, you know, that number in one place at one time is, you know, it's awful, it's devastating, it's powerful. Did you see it, Debbie?
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I mean, oftentimes it's just a number. I mean, imagine, I wonder if an artist is going to do something with 190,000 of something, you know, to show the immensity of lives lost with COVID. You know, so, you know, in this piece here that we're looking at with Susan, just to see, you know, the immensity of the tents and the people. And we know the numbers of homeless, you know, the numbers are outrageous, and even more so now. It's yeah, it's devastating. Another one of her collage works. And here she either uses collaged elements of faucets or 3-dimensional elements, like 3-dimensional faucets. And then this is another really political piece, immoral travesty, focusing on immigration and refugees. And this is, oops, oh, I thought we had another version of it. But, and the children and the, you know, the adults that are in cages right now. Really strong, powerful work. And that's it for our Shoebox Presents exhibition. Thank you all so much for being part of it. And thank you everybody who came out today to listen to all the artists talk and hang out with us on a Saturday evening. What else are we going to do, right? I mean, we can't go out anywhere, so. Are there any questions or comments or anything?
Nice grouping.
It is, it really is. It's good to see like everybody's, you know, newer work and kind of different work that we're not used to seeing. And even, you know, with everybody, you know, I mean, as long as I've known everybody and gotten to know your work, and actually it's really cool. Linda, like, especially the way you talked about like bending neon in the beginning and, you know, taking classes, and I was like, she's never talked like that about her work before. It's like listening to all of you talk. I mean, you know, part of it, the more experience we get talking about our work, the better. And the more stories we realize we need to talk about and tell, you know, about our work, which is the cool thing. I had to talk about my work the other day and I blew it. I was like thinking, oh my God, what would my artists say if they heard me? Funny. I totally stuttered. But no, thank you all. I mean, it's, you know, it's a really nice little online exhibition. So I'm looking, you know, forward to the solo shows coming up. And the next, let's see, a week from today, we are having a panel discussion. It's also the closing of Video Art Today, and that exhibition is actually going to come down. You can still see it on the website through next Saturday. But it's interesting because at the opening of that, we were talking about online exhibitions, and especially with video, where a lot of the artists had passwords for their videos and they don't want them being online. And so, you know, they don't want them, you know, out to the public because they want to show them differently in real life. And so it was an interesting conversation about, you know, art presentation. So I thought it would be a good idea to have a panel. And so I have 5 or 6 people from different galleries and curators coming in to talk about how they're presenting work online right now, from virtual reality to Matterport to Zoom openings like this. And, you know, and maybe we'll come up with something new. You know, it'll be a good discussion, I think. So that's next Saturday at 3. And then the following Saturday is Joanne's solo show. And so if you follow the Shoebox Projects LA page on Facebook, you'll get more information about those. So,
okay. If we go to where?
Shoebox Projects LA on Facebook. Yeah, if you follow that page, that's the gallery's Facebook page and Instagram. So, yep. Awesome. Well, it was so good to see everybody. And I hope you're staying safe out of the smoke as best as you can. I know. I have my air purifier here. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I just got an air purifier about a week and a half ago. What timing?
Yeah, I know. I had got mine about a month ago because my neighbor smokes. So. And it helps. It's helped. So I can still taste a little bit of the smoke, but it definitely helps. So, yeah. All right. Everybody have a great evening and so good to see you.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.